next to them detailing what their crime was.
Oh, that's in the book Outlander. Someone's ear was nailed to the pole. Yeah. You know you're listening if you love Outlander.
I'm on the 3rd book. I don't remember that, though.
It's in the 1st book.
Oh.
It's just like a short little bit.
I don't remember. It didn't happen. Townspeople would gather to throw trash and taunt the prisoner, but they threw everything from garbage, rotten food, feces, dead animals, and mud. And occasionally people would die in there because people would throw, like, bricks and stones at them, and then people would die.
Yo, where do you get dead animals to throw?
You go kill them?
I guess.
It's the 1600s.
You can do whatever you want. Well, apparently you can't. Apparently you cannot do whatever you want. You can't do anything.
Craziest part. Pillories remained legal until 1972. Delaware was the last state to officially abolish them. And the last whipping happened in Delaware was in 1952. And I, Googled this to confirm it. They whipped someone publicly in 1952. The 50s. 52. I Love Lucy was out. They were whipping people.
Where's Devo from?
Delaware. The pillory that I just described was used as punishment for treason, arson, blasphemy, witchcraft, perjury, wife beating, which I'll allow. That's the only one I'll allow.
That one gets punished.
That one, yeah. Cheating, forgery, dice cogging, which is cheating at dice games.
I will allow that one.
Shit.
Oh, sorry.
Conjuring, fortune-telling, and drunkenness. So we would be put in the pillory for fortune-telling and drunkenness.
Oh, God.
I couldn't say drunkenness when I was trying to say it.
You couldn't say Smithsonian, so.
Okay. Yeah. Branding and maiming were also huge back in the day. Like I said, burglary was punished in all colonies by branding a capital B in the right hand for the first offense, a B in the left hand for the second. But if the burglary was committed on the Lord's Day, that B went on your forehead.
I want a bee tattoo on one of my hands. Yeah.
For burglary.
Sound the bugles, I'm a burgle.
In Maryland, branding was not so merrily used for many different offenses.
Look at you.
That's dumb.
It's cute.
And SL was branded into someone's cheek for seditious, is it libel?
I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
It's basically someone who talks against the government, like speaks out against the government and wants to turn people. Is it libel? They'll let us know.
Yeah, you guys
It'll
will
be a cleanup item
trust
next
me,
time.
You guys will tell us.
It'll be a cleanup item.
You know, cleanup on aisle Caitlin. Please. Yes. I love that their only idea for punishment, I'm going to guess this was their only idea, is just to, put the letter of what you did. We're not going to chop your hand off, but we will put the letter of your crime.
But what if someone is a silly lion?
That's me.
What are they going to do with the SL's taken?
Oh,
you silly liar. An M was branded on the body for manslaughter, a T for thief, R for rogue or vagabond, and an F for forgery, and then the one I already mentioned, the H for hog stealers.
That's hilarious. That's my favorite crime, favorite punishment. No, all of the letter punishments.
Yeah. The M, what could that stand for? What did they do? I want an M tattooed on my hand now.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, let's do it. Punishment was an extremely public affair intended to bring maximum humiliation and shame, obviously. Banishment, sounds crazy. Banishment was also a punishment, but only in extreme cases. They could literally be like, get the fuck out.
That would be horrifying in that time, though. There's just woods.
Yeah.
What would you do?
And if you came back, they would kill you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why the West was settled.
Yep. Slanderers and liars were left in public with a cleft stick holding their tongue, which is basically something cut and, yeah. Don't lie. There were 5 crimes in 1936 recorded as punishable by death: willful murder, forming a solemn compact with the devil by way of witchcraft.
Well, Mary
being
Proctor,
a witch.
Yeah. Was in dealings with the devil.
Yes. God damn it. Willful burning of ships or houses.
You can't do that.
Sodomy. Ugh. That's annoying. Rape and buggery. And buggery, yeah, but...
I'm surprised rape's in there, but... Good on you, 1660, whatever.
Yeah. Adultery. Although there was no record of anyone ever put to death for this, except one woman, after she got off the Mayflower, and they thought she had cheated, she was put to death, when she landed.
Rude.
Yeah. But it's interesting that adultery wasn't, because I feel like that's men being like, no, we want to bang other people, so that one's not going to be punishable by death.
That's just...
I mean, maybe women too, but...
Yeah, we'll just get the A tattooed.
Yeah.
It can double as asshole and adulterer.
Yeah. Adulterers were, however, forced to wear an AD badge on their clothes.
So it was wrong.
Yeah. And if they were found without the AD, like it was just a badge,
Yeah.
then they would burn it into their foreheads. So basically it was like, we're giving you this chance to wear this badge, and if you take it off, we're burning this into your skin.
Yo, I want to buy, like, an ancient AD badge.
That would be cool if we could find that.
I guarantee they don't exist, but yeah.
Like still, or?
Yeah, probably, because it's probably cloth, and it's
Yeah.
really humid over there. So my guess is...
You gave me a dream and then you popped it.
Caitlin rolled her eyes like I'm the one who made this happen.
By 1658, it's like 20 years later, adultery was no longer punishable by death, just a good public whipping. One punishment I thought was interesting. Yeah, this is kind of weird. In 1638, 3 men were convicted of murdering a quote-unquote Indian, Native American, while robbing him. And they were actually executed by hanging to send a message of how, and this was in the Plymouth colony. The colony did this to send a message of how the Plymouth colony would treat Indians, air quotes. But like, after we stole their land and called them Indians, we were like, but we won't rob you anymore. And we'll kill people who do. I just thought that was interesting.
Oh, back in the times.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact, I didn't know this. There were actually, so we all know the Salem witch trials came after this, but there were actually 2 witchcraft trials in Plymouth long before the Salem witch trials.
Oh.
But both witches were found not guilty, and they actually fined the accusers for making false allegations.
Hey, there's some justice here.
Yeah.
It gets a little weird with the stapling ears, but
Yeah.
there's a little justice.
I also, specifically looked up punishments for children. I was kind of curious what they did in school. And the only thing I could find, children were hit with a whispering stick when they talked in class. And, I would have been hit with a shit ton of whispering sticks. They would have hit me with yelling sticks.
I'm gonna get whispering sticks.
Yeah. I also looked into policing the colonies. I wanted to see what that was like. And there was no professional police force. Not until 1838 in Boston. That was the first one.
What? That's so late.
Yeah, super late. So there were no professional police. It was just people who would volunteer to enforce the rules, essentially.
That doesn't seem like it would work very well at
It was
all.
like neighborhood watch. New York and Boston did try to establish watchmen and pay them, but then they dropped the program because it cost too much and they didn't want to pay people. So they kind of tried to create police, and then they were like, oh, never mind. It turns out it costs money to pay you. So
Turns out
just keep volunteering.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, no police until 1838.
Just like when I learned 911 wasn't a thing till the 60s.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
I know, it's crazy.
And then, older people I know were like, well, duh. I'm like, what do you mean, well, duh?
Yeah.
I wasn't there then.
Right. But in 1652, the first sheriff was appointed. So they did have sheriffs to run jails and kind of serve as an agent.
Figure out who got whipped and stuff.
Yeah. So I looked into a lot of the legal process too. Something into more than just crime.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Look at you.
There were coroners back in the day, which I thought was cool, but they only looked into suspicious deaths. So there weren't a ton of coroners, and they didn't do an autopsy on everyone, just people who died suspiciously. So the court process typically went something like this. A magistrate or judge would be told a crime had occurred, so someone would go to him and be like, yo, this is happening down the street, whatever. So he would send a marshal to collect and bring in the suspect, to his house. So the magistrate would question the accused, often in his own home, maybe invite other magistrates over to listen, but lawyers weren't involved. They didn't have lawyers at this time. So this magistrate or judge would just listen to the accused talk, and then he would decide, based on this conversation, he would either dismiss the case on the spot or schedule a trial. So he got to decide.
Interesting.
And then the suspect was allowed to go free until trial. They didn't have bonds or anything.
Yeah.
And there were no juries or lawyers, so cases moved pretty quickly. They just relied on testimony. But if you think that it's the same magistrate who decided that it needed to go to court, who now is the judge in the court. So most rulings were guilty because he had already decided they're guilty by the conversation.
Yeah, he decided then.
Yeah, so then they just went through the trial process to go through the hoops.
Like a formality.
But he had already decided, yeah. Because it's the same. It wasn't another judge did the case. It was the same guy who decided in his living room you were guilty. This was interesting, though. Trials were mostly held not just to go through the formality, but to give the accused an opportunity to confess and repent. So if you confessed and repented to your sins, they would let you back into society.
Oh.
So basically it was their opportunity to be like, I did it, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. And two, the magistrates or judges weren't like professionals or trained. They were typically like religious or political leaders who were given that title. So the main role of the magistrate in the court was to try to get a confession, not to punish. Some colonies did have higher courts to hear appeals, and they had a few like big cases were sent to English courts for a ruling, like if they were really big and we couldn't decide because we were still English colonies.
Get on a ship for months.
Yeah, right. And jurors only served if the death penalty was involved.
Oh, but there were jurors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but only if the death penalty was involved in the case.
Look at this little baby version of what we have today.
I know.
That's not terribly effective.
Yeah, but by 1730, jurors and defense lawyers were more common. So it did happen, just not before then. Mm-hmm. So that's the colonial crime and punishment system and like the court system kind of in a nutshell.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, in 1776, when we signed, we became independent, everything kind of changed. But before that, it was... And some colonies were even different. Like one article, like Rhode Island did things a lot like England, but then like the Plymouth colony, like the Puritan colonies, kind of made their own things and were a lot more religious. So it was all kind of over the board, yeah.
Which is kind of how the states are now. And I mean, obviously the legal process happens the same way, but each state is quite different in like if it's red or if it's blue or if it sways more towards these laws or towards these ones. So it's funny how that reflects.
Yeah, so it's just kind of the system in a nutshell in the 1600s.
That was good.
Thanks.
I like the weird laws.
And guys, we know, we actually we know that the last few have been kind of vague subjects where we've just researched these vague topics. Our next topic for the next week's episode is a super specific cases.
Yes.
So we are getting back into cases. We've just kind of been choosing themes and then picking sub-themes that are kind of vague. But we hope you like them.
Yeah, and if you do really like them, please let us know. On Instagram is probably a good place to do that.
Yeah.
At luminolpod, because then we'll know that you like the vague themes, because we don't want to do something that bores you.
We did get a lot of good feedback on the Body Farm, Baby Farm episode. People seem to really like that one.
So maybe you guys like that kind of weird history stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know.
There's a lot of Body Farm lovers out there.
There are.
I love Body Farms.
I know you do. You bring them up all the time.
I know.
She even brings them up when we're, like, driving somewhere.
Do I?
Yeah, you brought them up on the way to the farmer's market once. You just, like, randomly bring them up.
Sorry. Caitlin loves Body Farms. I'm just going to start referring to myself in the third person.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Thanks, Sarah.
That's not referring to yourself in the third person, but...
I was referring to you in the fourth person.
In the 11th person.
13th to the fourth power.
Yeah.
Go get our other beer.
Yeah, you go get it.
I got the last one.
I got the one before that.
Fine, I'll go get it.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I was just about to get up.
What's our next beer that you chose?
The Pumpkin Lager from
Lager
from Lakefront Brewery, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay.
Do they also make Lean and Kegels?
Lean. Okay. So it's a pumpkin lager. I will stop with that. An honest day's beer. Let's open her up. Do you want to open her?
Yeah.
Why do you even make fun of me when you do it every time as well?
It's your bottle opener, dude.
It isn't.
Oh, it's not your bottle opener?
Are you the
You don't own this bottle opener?
Wait, are you the bottle opener? Because if that's the case, then yes.
Technically, I'm the bottle opener. Okay. Cheers! I like it.
It smells like cinnamon. It tastes like bark mulch in a good way.
You want to pour it all over your carpet?
Are you ready to hear about a couple things? 1, the lost colony of Roanoke.
Yeah.
And 2, diseases and medicine in the colonial times?
Holy shit. I was saving that for later.
2 burpees. Oh, wait, you guys don't know. In our Patreon exclusive,
Oh, yeah.
every time Caitlin burps, you have to do 2 burpees.
Yeah.
It won't get you fit, but...
And every time we pronounce something wrong, 3 jumping jacks.
Yeah, and then what was the one for 5 push-ups?
I don't know.
You just have to do those.
Just do 5 push-ups because we said so.
Yeah.
Anytime we tell you what to do, no, you'll do so many push-ups.
Yeah. Get ready to get fit.
Every time Caitlin buckles in, you have to take a sip of beer.
Good one. Okay, my resources, or I guess sources. National Geographic. An article by Andrew Lawler.
It's funny because instead of saying LOL, Sarah goes LOL.
Loller.
LOLer.
And an article, I keep wanting to say an episode, an article by Sarah Pruitt for History.com, and an article by Larissa R. Schumann. So when we look at the colonial times, we're looking